Welcome back to the shooting channel, and today I'm going to give you some tips on how to shoot a side-by-side. As it is the game season and it is the side-by-side season and they are really coming back into fashion, side-by-sides are a bit like classic cars. They will always be there. And I'm going to give you some tips of how to shoot your side-by-side. The biggest tip you need to be thinking about is obviously the obvious reasons: barrels are side-by-side, they're not open under. Now, in some cases, some people will say that's a lot easier to see down the barrel than it is an over and under. Biggest and most important thing you need to think about is they are a lot smaller there and lower in the comb. An AYA is probably the highest in the comb, but it's still not as thick as an over and under. So the thing you need to be thinking about is to stand upright and there. With an over and under, you tend to ram your head down or take your head to that cheekbone there. With a side by side, you've got to think about being delicate, a bit like when you're driving a sports car, you're delicate with it, delicate with mounting that gun into your cheek. If you don't ram the gun into your cheek, the gun will generally fit you. So it's just a matter of there, not there. So it's putting that gun there. And that is really the biggest tip that I can think of how to help you shoot side by side. The other thing is don't put cannon shells through the side by side, because the more cannon shells, the thumpier cartridge you have, the more it makes the gun bounce in your hands. So nice and gentle cartridges, so when you mount that gun, it makes it smooth when you're mounting that gun and you're pulling that trigger. And with actually shooting the target, you need to be thinking to yourself, when you're mounting that, if I'm going to take a basic driven target, mount that gun, and you need to be thinking there. So my weight is forward and my head is there. And I'm looking down that barrel just like a motorway, and I come through the gun, through the clay, overtake the clay, pull the trigger and keep it moving. But I don't want to, like with an over and under, generally you've got the weight of the gun that will slow you down. With a side-by-side, you haven't got that because they are generally quite a lot lighter. So you've got to, the movement has got to come from the body and come from the back edge and go through. If you start throwing a side-by-side round, you'll never hit anything, you'll be in front of everything. So it's seeing the target, letting the target come out, going to it, look at the front beak of it and pulling the trigger. But don't throw the gun, nicely take it through. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and I'm going to try and show you how to shoot that target with a side-by-side. I'm going to kill that clay there. I'm going to mount that gun there. So my feet are pointing where I'm going to kill it. My gun is there. I'm going to let the clay come out. As the clay comes out, I'm going to move with the clay, look at his front edge, pull the trigger. Pull. Pull. So if you looked at my body moves from the gun, not just the arms. If you look at my arms don't really move a lot. My whole body moves. So pull. Pull. Everyone says to me, oh yeah, but it's double trigger, you have to remember that trigger. Generally, you won't forget that trigger. Once you've shot it a little bit, you'll remember. And you've got to think to yourself, go from there to there. Just there, drop it back, go to there, there, there. Don't physically take your finger off there. So just drop it back to there, like that. Some people, and I saw this the other day, some people do tend to go back trigger, front trigger. To me, that's a little bit arse about face, because your brain's saying always go back. There, you just slide back onto that back trigger. You go the other way, you've got to go there. So to me, the easiest way is front trigger, back trigger. So take note to where my cheek was. My cheek was not rammed on the gun. My cheek was just touching that gun. So it was there, pull. So my cheek was just touching that gun. Pull. Pull. So if you look at what I did just then, I put the gun into my shoulder. Now that doesn't really work, and you get away with it on an over and under, but on a side by side, because the gun or the stock is not thick enough there, when you put the gun into your shoulder, you end up going like that. So it doesn't really work. So with this, the better the gun mounting is, the better the result you're going to get on whatever you're killing. So it's got to be there, not there. So pull, it's there, pull. And that is generally the basic tips of how to shoot a side by side. And I'm going to be completely honest, there is no different really, apart from the weight, there is really no different shooting one of these than there is an over and under. It's just moved on in the world. So if you are thinking of having a side by side, don't be put off by people saying, oh well, it's not a good thing to shoot, an over and under is made as a killing machine. You can still shoot as well with a side by side as you can with an over and under. Find yourself a shooting school that knows how to teach people to shoot correctly with the side by side. Pull, 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 pull. So that is my top tips on how to shoot nicely with a side by side. If anyone's got any comments about this, please comment below. If anyone's struggled to shoot with a side by side, please comment, please let us help you. We're there to help. I hope you've enjoyed this programme. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, please, please, please join the membership for as little as $2.99 a month. And don't forget that big red button, hit that big red button, it's free to subscribe. And it really helps us to give you more content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.